Okay, so Alyx did a video earlier. I didn't watch all of it, but he kind of hinted he was going to do it because he's kind of getting sick and tired of all these WWE fans and even the WWE stars themselves, wrestlers, whatever you want to call them, kind of getting on the fact that, you know, AEW fans and AEW talent, especially former wrestlers, stars in WWE, are taking shots at the company. And they don't like that. They feel that that's petty. They feel that that's childish and everything. And Alyx, from what little I saw so far, basically gave a good example of that. Basically, he gave a good example of the fact that this is nothing new in not just wrestling, but in sports and entertainment in general. And that everybody acknowledges everybody. You know, they acknowledge who they are. They acknowledge how, you know, what they've done and stuff like that. So it's nothing new. But the question is, obviously, why would they do this? Now, I don't know if Alyx answered this portion of the question. Well, not question, but portion of this topic of this video. But I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to give it my shot. I'm going to give my own, you know, I guess you could say, hurrah at it, if you will. You know, I'm going to give it my all, if you will. And kind of explain why I think, in my opinion, you know, viewing it from the outside looking in, still being a wrestling fan, but viewing it from a position to where I could be like, yeah, I kind of see what they're saying and everything, but, you know, there's an old saying of live in the moment, if you know what I mean. Now, from what I can understand, from what I can tell, the reason, in my opinion, these are my opinions, by the way, the reason I feel that these WWE fans and stars are, you know, basically bashing the AEW fans and AEW stars for, you know, kind of crapping on the WWE is due to the fact that, again, from my point of view, they feel and believe that these fans of AEW, these followers of AEW, these men and women that compete in the ring that sign on to be part of AEW are being poisoned and drunken, if you will, off the Kool-Aid being fed to them by Tony Khan, being fed to them by the likes of the Bucks and Omega and all of them, and, you know, Cody Rhodes and stuff. And they're not seeing, you know, the bigger picture. And that bigger picture is that AEW is not going to be around forever. That basically they look at AEW as being in that same stratosphere, but in a hybrid sense of WCW and ECW combined. Like you have this, like when they see the fact that AEW's on TNT and inevitably TBS real soon, they see that WCW connection. They see a company that's trying to be the new WCW for a new generation. And then when they see the fact that, you know, certain matches take place in the company that normally would be the kind of matches you would see with ECW or associated with ECW, you know, they take all that into consideration and they basically look at a company that probably won't last very long. And the reason they feel that way is because they look at the fact that the guy that owns the company, you know, is spending money like water, not just, you know, booking venues and all that, but by signing numerous amounts of talent that he doesn't need to really sign, you know. And what they look at in the process is a guy that's basically feeding the ego of all these men and women that compete in the ring, feeding the thirst that those hardcore fans, those hardcore ECW and, believe it or not, WCW fans have thrived for, have thirsted for almost 2 decades. He's doing all that, and to them, those people, those wrestlers, those fans, they're not seeing it. They're not going to see it until it's too late. And that's why I think, in my opinion, from what I could tell, this is why they don't like the idea of someone like a CM Punk, someone like a, you know, Malachi Black, a Cody Rhodes, you know, a Don Callis, you know, people that used to work for the company known as WWE itself. This is why they feel it's petty on them for taking shots, because they feel sooner or later AEW is going to go down the same path WCW and ECW did, and that by going down that same path, that inevitably a company like WWE, who at one point, let's not forget, historically looked like was going to be driven into the ground by WCW, but then turned it around and went in a different direction, and by doing so, basically kicked WCW's behind. You know, they're taking all that into consideration. They're looking at that historically, and they're saying, yeah, AEW may have some momentum right now over WWE, but let's not forget that history can repeat itself. And I think that's why they get on the AEW, the WWE, the former WWE talent that goes to AEW. The fans that have followed in droves, if you will, by the thousands, if not millions, to AEW because of certain talent. You know, this is why I think they get on them, due to the fact that they don't like the idea that basically they're setting themselves up for failure. They're setting themselves up for disappointment, and that's why they're angry at the fact that fans and the former WWE stars that go to AEW take these shots. Even the OG, homegrown AEW talent, you know, they don't like the idea that they take shots either, because, again, they believe what they're doing in the end is they're going to setting themselves up for failure and disappointment and going down the same disastrous path WCW and ECW went. And when I look at that, and again, this is what I see from my point of view, looking from the outside as a wrestling fan myself. You know, not as big of a fan as I used to be, but still I'm a fan, and I still get excited once in a while for when wrestling, you know, gets some momentum, like with Punk and everything. You know, I'm excited about that. But the thing is, like I said, you know, this is what I see from my point of view, looking from the outside, you know, being on the outside looking in. And this is what I say. To those that want to criticize the AEW fans and the former WWE talent and OG AEW talent that are in AEW, and like I said, the former WWE talent that go to AEW, along with the fans that take shots at WWE, also, I want to say this to those that don't like that, you know, despise that. You know, here's what I want to say. I get where you're coming from. You have a right to feel how you feel. You have a right to be opinionated. But here's the thing. Even if what you believe is to be true, even if what you believe is, you know, fact that is yet to be, here's what I say. Let the fans of AEW, let the men and women of WWE that were part of WWE at one point that have gone to AEW, along with the OG talent, you know, let them live in the moment. Even if AEW doesn't last for another 5-6 years, you know, and it starts going down that path you feel it's going to go down, right now, let them live in the moment. Because remember, ECW had an impact on the business and, you know, and on WWE, and WWE for a while was never the same. They completely changed, you know, how the outlook and everything. WCW the same way. They had an impact on the business. The NWO being born in WCW, you know, had an impact on the business and on WWE itself. But guess what? Did it last forever? No. But what did fans do? What did the men and women that competed in the ring that were all part of that, you know, era in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s do? They lived in the moment. So that's what we have to look at right now. Now we have to let these fans of AEW, these men and women of AEW that compete for AEW, whether the OG homegrown talent or ex-WWE stars that go there, we have to just let them live in the moment, because when that day comes, and it may not come for a while, it may not come ever, who knows? Or it may come when you feel it's going to come. All I say is let them live in the moment. Let them live in the moment. Let them enjoy themselves, because even for this brief period, it could have a huge impact on the business and a huge positive impact that is in the long run. So that's what I say. That's what I say. And to the fans of AEW, to the men and women that are homegrown talent in AEW, that are ex-WWE talent to go to AEW, I say the same thing to you guys. Live in the moment. Don't let anybody, negative say anything bad about you. Enjoy yourselves. Because even if this is not forever, even if this only lasts a couple of more years, or 5 more years, 6 more years, whatever, live in the moment. Because what you do now with AEW will have a long-lasting, major positive impact on the business, in the future. And that's all I'm going to say. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Check out Alyx's video that he did in the live stream earlier today. And I will talk to you all later.